Be ready. 10 seconds to go. Start. Sir, the maternity benefit bill is significant also for the reason that over a period of time, right from the Law Commission of India, there has been a consistent demand that the maternity benefit period should be raised. The reason that this argument has repeatedly come into the public domain is to improve the volume of women in our country's workforce. If we could make that increment, that increase in the contribution of women in our workforce, it is bound to have a direct impact on our growth rate, on our economy. So, flowing from that rather than looking at this just as a women's bill and connecting it to International Women's Day, I feel that this bill has a larger economic impact, sociological impact, and it will definitely impact the future of our country. I would briefly address the key amendments as the opening speaker. The maternity benefit will apply to the organized sector where there are 10 or more employees and the period has been extended from 12 weeks to 26 weeks. So, it will apply to factories, mines, shops, and establishments, and significantly, where this period was applicable to only 6 weeks before the expected date of delivery, if I remember correctly. Now, it can date back to 8 weeks before the expected date of delivery. I think that is a good amendment. Apart from that, it says if you have two or more children, this period will be reduced to 12 weeks. Also, there is a new concept of commissioning mothers. Adopting is, although not a new concept, commissioning mothers are mothers who will use their eggs to have surrogate children. For them, provided the child is below 3 months, the maternity benefit period is 12 weeks. As the Honorable Minister said, any establishment with 50 or more employees will have to have creche facilities with all women who will have rights to at least 4 visits to the creche. Apart from that, the employer and the employee during the period of maternity benefit will have the option to work out from home on mutually agreed terms and conditions. Now, the question is this. I go back to why maternity benefit becomes important in workplace for a woman. It is because actually, if you look at the figures of our nation, it is quite saddening because recently a well known organization like Save the Children had conducted a survey, and India is actually ranked 140th out of 179 countries in the Mothers Index rank. The reason this figure or this data is important is because one of the criteria in ranking India as a nation for Mothers Index rank is maternal health and children's well being. It is also well established in various data and the public domain that only 25% of the paid labor force is women versus the global figures, which are at an average of 40%. I need not emphasize that 90% of our women are actually working in the unorganized sector, and it is only 1.8 million of the pregnant ladies in the country that will actually going to be benefited from this new legislation. It is because 90% of the women who are part of the labor force work in the unorganized sector. So, the question is, if we were to say that the Unorganized Workers Social Security Act 2008 covers that, I would request the minister to ensure that there is parity, without which the consequence will be to leave out most of the working women of this country. Apart from that, when we talk about maternity benefit, it has a direct impact on treating a man and a woman equally in a workplace. This bill looks very progressive, but my greatest fear is this. Will it act as a deterrent in the private sector? Today, if a 24-year-old girl applies for a job, the first thought that would come in the mind of the employers is whether he should take a financial burden. For him, hiring a young woman who is otherwise very capable and well qualified is like taking a financial burden. In that case, the entire maternity benefit has to be borne by the employer. There is no provision for the government funding or the social insurance which exists in many other developed nations. So, I wonder whether this benefit to a woman will be counterproductive when it comes to increasing employability of women in the workforce. There are two ways that we can deal with it. The obvious one is funding, and I think an innovative thing to do would be to make paternity leave mandatory. If a man and a woman are both entitled to that, the presumption would be that just like a woman would avail it, there is every chance that a man will also avail it, and therefore it does not work as a disadvantage for the woman. Stop.